Afternoon everybody, Silverbolt here, back for Transformers review. This review has been off-requested by 14-year-old Stuart. That's all I know about it. And so this one is mainly for him, and also for everybody else who's requested. Blaster. Blaster is like Jazz in that he has a deep love of Earth music. And as far as Blaster is concerned, there is only one way to listen to it. Loudly. Loud, hard rock is what Blaster likes. None of this namby-pamby gangster rap or hip-hop or all that other shit they listen to nowadays. No, Blaster would not be out of place at a Megadeth concert. It's great. Blaster first shows up in Series 2, the Dynamite Island episode, I believe, and quickly ascertains himself as somebody who, even according to his character bio into the cartoon, is not afraid to get stuck in. Every situation he's involved in, Blaster is at the forefront of it. Blaster, unlike many Transformers characters, Blaster doesn't come and go out of it. He's quite there all the time. In Season 2, he has more than one episode that revolves around him. Most importantly, obviously, I think it's Autobot Bebop, where he and Soundwave have the Cybertronian cassette deck equivalent of a dance-off. Great! All that's missing from that is the gay innuendos. Blaster, of course, very prolific in the movie. Very prolific in the movie. In fact, that it's Blaster who sends for reinforcements on Cybertron. Like his Decepticon equivalent Soundwave, Blaster houses the Cassette Warriors function of the Autobots and Decepticons. With Blaster, he has 4, unlike Soundwave's almost unlimited capacity for them. Now, Soundwave got about 7 or 8, but Blaster has 4. Rewind, Eject, Steeljaw, and Ramhorn. So, you know, he's only got the 4, and you can easily see how 4 would fit in there, despite the fact that the toy only houses 1. Except for the Japanese reissue, which does house 2. But it's also got a whole different colour scheme, but I'll probably get to that later on in the video. Okay, now within Series 3, Blaster is again quite predominant. He's in Dark Awakening, obviously, seeing as they need Steeljaw and Eject for Dark Awakening. He is in, I do believe you can actually see him in Grimlock's New Brain at the start of it as well. He is one of the Autobots, both for Optimus and for Rodimus, one of the more trusted advisors to him. Blaster's advice is usually very, very good. You know, he's somebody that you can listen to, but he's somebody who commands quite a lot of respect, especially from what would appear to be the other humans on Earth. Yeah, there's a little black bit that goes just there. Now, I do have it, but I also have a bag in my room that houses the spare parts to the Transformers that I have. So, spare missiles, spare clip-on bits, things like that. Because I display my Transformers in robot mode, a lot of them are in there, and I can't find the little black bit that goes to the top. Okay, now, Blaster, along with this huge, enormous gun that he has, which I can't seem to find, bear with me. There we go, found it. One giant Blaster gun. It's huge. But anyway, yes, Blaster and his massive gun will show up quite a lot in the comics. Now, he starts off in the Marvel comics, issue 17, I believe, where he fights the comic-only character, Lord Straxus. Lord Straxus forces Blaster to watch whilst he kills one of his friends. Blaster then fights a one-on-one battle with him, and seemingly kills Straxus, though I do believe Straxus shows up again, but I can't remember at what point. Blaster then leads his team of Autobots to Earth through the destroyed space bridge, and they are some of the second generation ones who arrive for Series 2, tying it with the comics, I believe. Cosmos is in there, Beachcomber's in there, Powerglide's in there. Now, when Optimus Prime is destroyed later on in the comic continuity, or the comic stories, Blaster is initially one of the Autobots that's in favour of having Grimlock as the leader. Because when Grimlock, and so Grimlock comes into power as one of the Autobot leaders. Blaster soon regrets this because Grimlock's method of leadership is very brutal, and it's very indirect, and it's very much, if the humans get killed, oh well, so what. Blaster, of course, loves Earth culture, he loves the humans, so himself and Goldbug take a powder, and they bugger off. They get separated, and Blaster is not forgotten by Grimlock. And Grimlock actually sends the Protectobots off to catch him, to stop him. Along the way, the Combaticons get involved, and there's a huge fight between Bruticus and Defensor. And Defensor, whilst fighting Bruticus and of course attempting to arrest Blaster, gets beaten. Blaster, with the aid of some human children, stops him. Now, once Optimus Prime is resurrected, in the comic continuity, Optimus Prime is resurrected as Power Master Prime. Blaster shows back up on Cybertron to fight Unicron. Okay, now, when the original Optimus Prime dies, of course, Blaster is also the one that delivers his eulogy at the funeral. Now, Blaster will meet the first of his deaths, because Blaster seemingly gets killed a fair bit at the hands of Quake, who is one of the Decepticon target masters. Blaster is also defeated and reactivated by Starscream and the Underbase scenario. Blaster's team of Autobots is nearly completely killed during the Galvatron incident, when Galvatron comes from the future. So Blaster shows up an awful lot throughout the comics. He's in, I believe, as well, even in the new ones, in the IDW series. He's in The War Within Part 3, the one that's not finished. So Blaster is in and out of the comics quite a lot. He's certainly one of the characters in the comics that tends to come in a lot more so than any others. Other than obviously the named ones like Optimus Prime, Megatron, and all them. Mainly probably due to the fact that he is actually such a popular character. In the way he talks, obviously, he's quite unique. Now, I like Blaster, but I've never been a huge fan of him, mainly because I think he's just another Jazz. I mean, they both have interests in loud music, they both use audio vibrations as weaponry, they both talk funny. Now, the only big difference is A, their colour scheme, and the fact that one transforms into a car, the other one transforms into a tape deck. I don't know, I've just never been a huge fan of Blaster. Blaster, again, is also in the Transformers Headmaster series, where he's called, at least in the English dubs, he's called Billy. He gets killed by Soundwave, but killing Soundwave in the process, and gets renamed into Blaster. But he gets a change of colour scheme as well, because he becomes blue and yellow instead of red and yellow. Okay, now the original Blaster toy is this thing. This is Blaster in his robot mode. With, again, Mega Powered Gun! Blaster was originally released as part of the Microman Japanese releases. In the same line that released Soundwave, I believe. What? Now, Hasbro, of course, took it over and then released him as part of the Transformers range. Now, the toy itself really doesn't have an awful lot that can be said about it. I mean, I think it actually bears quite a resemblance to a Mega Supreme, in that it's big and it's blocky. I mean, it's twice the size of Soundwave. Twice Soundwave's height. And I think Soundwave, going by cassette transforming toy, it's much nicer than Blaster. Much nicer than Blaster. And the face is a little gimpish to anybody who's watched it. It's got this kind of like visor thing running across his face. The signature Blaster ear things, I've actually got one broken. Blaster was also part of the Action Master range. He got a decoy as well. I really must start getting some of the decoys. I don't have any. Don't have any of the decoys. I must start getting some. And he was also a GoBot, incidentally. Well, there was a toy called Blaster, who was part of the GoBot line. The toy's okay. You know, as I said, it's very blocky. Mainly, I suppose, there's not an awful lot you can do with a cassette deck. And there's really not an awful lot you can do with the cassette deck. I mean, he's a good character. I've just never been overly fond of him as a character. That's one thing as well about Blaster in the toy mode, is that it's not symmetrical. If you look here, right, that bit's square, but that bit just cuts off. It's like it's missing something. It's not. At least as far as I know it's not, but yeah. What's my train of thought now? Yeah, Blaster was released as a GoBot, but he was never released as anything else, and he's never really come into any other Transformers series that I'm aware of. Mainly because he seems to spend all his time in the comics. But anyway, yes, that's Blaster review done. Hope everyone's enjoyed it. Stuart, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. But for now, this is Silverbolt with Blaster, signing off, saying au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.